Hi guys, I'm Sharlto Copley.
And I'm Ilya Naishuller.
And we got some questions which we're gonna answer.
I'm ready.
Right now, I'm ready.
What do you think was the biggest challenge in creating a character out of Henry from the first person?
Well, Alex, you use his hands, his movements, where he looks and where he doesn't look at also says a lot about the character. His choices that he makes in the film are what sells the character. It's challenging, but yeah, hopefully it works.
Hopefully there's some character in
There
there.
is a little bit.
Yeah.
He's got a name.
If not, there's a lot of different Jimmys. Just watch me. Yeah. It's fine.
Is your speech module installed? Shit. Well, at least we know you're not deaf.
Is there a level of intimacy you were trying to achieve by making this film from the first-person perspective?
I mean, I always thought that the idea of a character in a film talking to the camera would be interesting from a narrative point of view. You know, if you're watching two people emote, somebody's getting upset or tense or whatever, and you're watching two people fight, but if a guy's actually fighting with you, with the audience directly, I thought that would be very interesting, just emotionally,
it's incredibly strong. It's like, right now we're talking to you, we're looking at the camera, we're not talking to Andrew over here.
Yes.
Well, we could have been, but, you know, it makes a lot more sense. You're much more connected to us right now. So that's the logic. In terms of enhancing the story, Henry doesn't remember anything, therefore the audience doesn't remember anything, and that's, you enter this world as fresh as Henry does, and then you only see what Henry sees.
This next part might hurt.
And that really helps the mystery of discovery that you get while watching the movie in first person. Because you can't just cut away to the villain saying, and my dastardly plan is...
Yes.
No, you get only what Henry gets. And that's...
Never cut away anytime.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Which is hard to do.
We want the audience to be immersed. We want them to be Henry. It was not, as plenty of people are guessing, that, oh, is it to do the sort of the computer game protagonist kind of thing? No, it was to do... The mission was to keep the immersion as high as possible.
How many stunt performers were involved? Does the main character do his own stunts?
We had about 100 stunt people together, very early at the same time, except for the finale. But usually they'd be about, you know, every day we'd have 10, 15 guys with us, just in case.
They were incredible, by the way.
They were incredible.
These Russian stunt guys are like a whole different breed of anything that I've ever seen in my life. They're just like, they would do things that, you know, where normally we would take like a day to set up some safety rigs and whatever if we were shooting it in sort of a more...
civilized country?
I wouldn't say that. You know, I come from South Africa. Who am I? It's a pot calling the kettle black. But, you know, like if you're shooting in Vancouver, it would take a long time. These guys would be very quick, but they were very sort of cowboy, but very focused and very professional as well. They were really phenomenal.
About 13 different guys played Henry during the movie. And yes, they all did their own stunts because they were stunt guys.
Including.
And I did all the safe chatty scenes with Sharlto, yeah.
So that's fun. As an actor, you get to play against all these different guys all the time. Your co-star is changing constantly.
How did you find the actors and stuntmen that played Henry?
Two of them who shot about 3/4 of the movie are my very good friends. One of them is actually the guy who plays Slick Dimitri, one of the henchmen in the film itself. And the other 10 were specific people who, you know, a guy who knows how to ride a horse, that's the guy who rides a horse. A guy who falls out of helicopters, a guy who base jumps. And so it's all very sort of specific. For all the extremely dangerous stuff, or extremely sort of specialized skill set, you get that person who knows how to do that.
How many times did you have to reattach the camera during scenes?
The camera actually never fell off. It got kicked off and punched off and blown off, but it was never, very rarely. The rig was very sturdy. And
it hit me once or twice, but it never, yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah.
I don't remember it ever coming off.
Yeah,
it was pretty much fixed to the guy's head, so if the camera came off,
the guy's head would
the
have
head
off.
was going off too.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to go through, like there's scenes in the movie where a guy with a camera goes through a window with the rig on and like literally somersaults on fire, so the rig was very securely attached to the guy's head.
Yeah.
For his first day, what he's got to do is be set on fire inside the bus by a blowtorch, and everybody's hoping that this glass is going to be okay when he comes out. Just another day in Russia.
How many GoPros did you go through?
I think about a dozen, maybe 13. Yeah. You put them in the right case and you treat them semi-gently, or, you know, not with full disrespect. And the cameras, they last quite a while.
Did you break any bones while filming?
Well, Bobby, do you consider a tooth a bone? We chipped a tooth, one of the guys playing Henry, and we had 5 stitches on a stunt guy's head. There was a nice little flying away from the kick situation near the end where, but 5 stitches, yeah, we were actually surprisingly safe.
It's a good point. It was. I really thought we'd have more.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe the film isn't as brutal as it should have been. It is.
How tall was the building in the trailer that Hardcore Henry ziplined from?
The
How
building.
tall? It was tall.
It
though,
was.
man.
It was. The whole building's about 18, 19. But the platform where we went from, that was about. I think it was the 16th floor. And fun fact, the whole floor stank of cat piss because there was a crazy cat lady living in that floor. So when we got out, it was great to be outside of the actual corridors. Oh, that was fun. So 16 floors, Troy.
And he really went into the dumpster thing, Troy, as well.
Yes.
That's for real.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was clean dumpster.
Was it?
Nah, that's what he told the guy. Yeah.
Were there any characters that you drew inspiration from while playing Jimmy?
Only one, which was for the Colonel. I sort of took a little bit from General Montgomery in the leader of the British forces in the Second World War. He's always been an interesting character to me. I wasn't like trying to imitate him or anything like that, but I loved the idea of like these proper English gentlemen who were just capable of like the most hardcore, violent acts.
As my father used to say, a grenade a day keeps the enemy at bay. Come along. Chop, chop.
I mean, literally, General Montgomery's letter to the troops on D-Day, you know, he ends it with like, good hunting on the mainland Europe. You know, it's literally like, that's the actual language that they used. It was sort of like sport.
Yes.
From a certain
Killing
point of view.
Jerry's.
You know what I mean? And so I thought that would be an interesting character to see that type of character just doing the most crazy, insane violence.
Jolly good.
Of all the different weapon systems you got to use, what were your favorites and why?
Big Sally for me. Big Ben. Mine I call Big Ben.
Yes.
My rocket launcher.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. What was yours?
I was fond of the Colonel's Pepasha, the Russian World War II thing.
that was
because
cool.
it's it was the one that jammed up all the time.
Yeah,
except for
with
the very
with the
first
round
time.
magazine.
Round magazine, yeah. But that was just because it was actually a proper World War II rifle that did its job in World War II.
Are you guys video game players?
Sharlto's a huge video
You
gamer.
must have been a big video game. Were you? How big were you actually?
I was my first
You
Game
were
Boy.
big.
I got my first Game Boy. I was like 7 or 8 or 9, and I never looked back.
I played like Donkey Kong and Popeye on Nintendo. Those
Yeah.
small little handheld
That's
things back in the day. Was that still Game Boy?
That's the Game Boy. Yeah.
The very first Game Boy.
Yeah. There was.
But I'm old. I'm much older than you. There must have been like.
With South Africa, you guys are way behind the times.
Really?
Yeah.
A little Popeye sits in a boat and he catches a spinach. I played Street Fighter 2 until I went insane.
Yes.
Who
was your favorite
finished
character?
that game all the time. I liked the girl. I hate to say it. I
Chun-Li?
liked the spinning
Chun-Li?
kick. Yeah,
Chun-Li was great.
Spinning
Chun-Li.
style kick, and she goes upside down. And I love that.
What was it like to film the movie in Russia?
I find shooting in Russia the only possible place we could have made this film. So I enjoyed
where
it very
you
much.
live?
It's where I live. I'm from
A little
Moscow.
more challenging for me though, Brandon. No one speaks English there. You might not know. It's not a big language. There was probably 4 people on the set that I could speak to, but it was perfect for the film because these guys, I mean, the interesting thing was, Ilya, like what you were saying, he'd used his team, so there's actually a lot of people who'd already had a bunch of experience, as hard as the film still was for everybody. So from that point of view, it was great. You know, that made it sort of possible, I think, actually, in a certain way, to make the movie. These guys were just willing to try stuff that traditional filmmakers and film crews probably would just have freaked out at.
It really was the only place we could have made it, and I always thought it's great. It's like cinematic tourism. You're sitting here in America watching this film, and you're actually seeing a different country, seeing Russia. This is a map of Mother Russia.
What was the original inspiration for the Biting Elbows music video, and how did that turn into a film?
I bought a GoPro while I was snowboarding in Italy. I was no use for it because I can't really snowboard. And I gave it to a friend of mine who was running around with it, doing parkour stuff in his backyard. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, this can actually work as a music video if we just kind of lower the camera a little bit. But that's the trick, the camera should be here and not here, as everybody has it in their helmets. And we just started shooting the first one, and then we did Bad Motherfucker. I got a call from Timur Bekmambetov, our producer, who suggested we make this into a feature. And then 2 weeks later, we were off.
They sent it to me. I watched it several times over. I couldn't stop watching it.
Yes, he loved it.
Will Biting Elbows be featured in the soundtrack?
Yes, Daniel, we got 3 songs. We got 3 songs. You'll see in the bike chase sequence and the end title sequence. And there's a little short appearance for one of the Jimmys, has a little quick punk fix.
Shameless self-promotion for your band.
Well, if I'm not gonna
Like the
use
biggest
it, who will,
music
right?
video in history.
If you could do it all over again, what would you do different and why?
I'd have more prep.
More prep.
More
before
prep.
you
We
started.
because we just rushed in. We're like, in 2 months we're starting. Write the script, get an actor, do it.
We made up a lot as it was happening.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, we sort of had to in a certain way because there was a huge learning curve involved.
For everybody. Every
Yeah.
department had a crazy time. So I just, probably more prep.
I don't know. I don't know that I would really change anything.
I'd not take 3 years to make it.
If we could go faster.
Could go like maybe 2.5, 2.5.
Thank you, fans.
Thank you, fans.
guys. We need you. Without the Indiegogo fans, we couldn't have made this.
Thank you very much.
The studio would never have made this film. So literally, it's like the guys who went online and said, I have to see this. Like, we genuinely love you because we couldn't have made this movie
It's
without
been
you.
3 years of support, and it wouldn't have happened without you. That's a fact. All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.